today is the trade deadline, and a record 63 players got traded this trade deadline. And I'm going to be talking about all the trades that happened, grading it, also talking about some of the trades that fell through, and some buyout players that we could look at. So first, I'm just going to say I won't really talk about much about the major trades that happened before today. I made a video on the Jimmy Butler trade. I'll just talk really little about them. Luka and the De'Aaron Fox Zach LaVine trade. I made a video for those. So if you want to check those out, those are my videos. But let's get into all the trades. We're just going to talk about from the most recent to now. So here is some of the trades that happened. First, we're going to talk about the Marcus Smart trade. The Wizards get Marcus Smart, Kobe Jones, Alex Len, and a first-round pick. The Kings get Jake LaRavia, and the Grizzlies get Johnny Davis and Marvin Bagley, and some second-round picks. Now, I feel like the Wizards won this trade. They got a first-round pick. They didn't need to trade many players. They traded some of the players they don't want. Grizzlies definitely lost this trade. They had to give up a first to trade Marcus Smart and give up Jake LaRavia, who the Kings get a solid player. So the Kings and the Wizards won. The Grizzlies lost. Then James Wiseman to the Raptors. Don't need to really talk about much about that. Kevin Porter Jr. to the Bucks for MarJon Beauchamp. The Bucks definitely got an upgrade right here. Kevin Porter Jr. is a solid player who can score and do everything basically decently. And then MarJon Beauchamp is a young player who hasn't been that good recently. But yeah, and then we got another trade. KJ Martin, Josh Richardson, and a second-round pick for Dennis Schroeder. Now, Schroeder is not going to get bought out by the Pistons. And this is a great trade for the Pistons. They add another veteran, and since they're trying to make a playoff push, add another great veteran, and they didn't need to trade much. KJ and Josh literally just got traded to them like yesterday in the Jimmy Butler trade, and they only needed to trade a second-round pick for Schroeder, basically. Then Cody Zeller to the Rockets. We don't need to talk about that. All right, this is a solid trade. Clippers get Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks for Terrence Mann and Bones Hyland. Now, Bogdan is solid player, solid shooter, has been great, but recently, this season especially, hasn't been that good. But the Clippers get 3 second-round picks. They trade Terrence Mann and Bones Hyland. Those are solid gets for the Hawks, but Terrence hasn't been that good recently, as well as Bones not getting much playing time. But in a different environment, all these 3 players could thrive. Then we got a pretty big trade, actually. DeAndre Hunter is going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. In exchange, Caris LeVert, George Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps goes to the Hawks. Now, pick swaps don't really do much because DeAndre Hunter has been really good, and the Cavs aren't going to be worse than the Hawks, so pick swaps don't do much. 3 second-round picks is solid. And then Caris LeVert, George Niang are all right, but the Cavs definitely won here. They did not really need to trade any of their really good players. And they add DeAndre Hunter, who has been really good this season, averaging 19 points per game off the bench. And he's been really good, 18, 20-point games. He's going to add a great small forward to fill out their lineup. Max Strus has been solid, but now they have 2 good small forwards, which is great. They need like a bigger forward too, because Strus and their other forwards, Okoro, is not as tall. And then they got Hunter, who is also pretty good on defense as well, offense. It's a great trade. And then the Hawks, it's an okay trade. At least they traded Hunter when he has the best value. So that's great. And then next trade, we got Jusuf Nurkic and a first-round pick for Cody Martin, Micic, and a second-round pick. Now, we already had so many rumors that Nurkic is going to get traded, and he finally did, but they had to attach a first-round pick to get rid of his contract. But definitely a good trade for the Hornets. They get a first-round pick at least. And then Cody Martin is a solid player for them. They definitely got more depth. And then Micic also is pretty solid. So they take a flyer on 2 players that are going to help boost their depth for a player that had no value really. So this is a solid trade for both teams, but definitely tough for the Suns to have to give a first-round pick. Then Patrick Baldwin Jr. traded to the Spurs. I believe he got waived. Davion Mitchell for PJ Tucker in a second-round pick. Now, PJ Tucker has been traded so many times this trade deadline and is probably going to get bought out. But Davion Mitchell is a really solid get for the Heat. He provides great defense and solid backup point guard for the Heat. And then the Raptors, they get a second-round pick in Tucker. And I think the Heat also did this to try to get out of the luxury tax. Then another trade is the Sixers trading Jared Butler. Getting Jared Butler and 4 second-round picks for Reggie Jackson and a first-round pick. Now, this first-round pick is not really that good. It is a late pick. So, this is definitely a great get for the Sixers, who got 4 second-round picks for Jared Butler. And Jared Butler, for Reggie Jackson. But the Wizards also did solid. They get a first-round pick. That's pretty good. Then, we got another trade. This is a crazy trade, too. When I woke up and saw this trade, it was insane. Mark Williams going to the Lakers for Dalton Knecht and Cam Reddish, a first-round pick and a pick swap. Feel like the Lakers definitely did really good with this trade. Their picks are not going to be as valuable anymore because they have Luka now, and they get a really young center who has a lot of potential to be great, and they needed a center. Mark Williams, such a great trade. And then the Hornets also did solid because, maybe Luka's gone by then. The Lakers are bad, so they get 2 first-round picks, a swap, and a first-round pick unprotected, alongside Dalton Knecht, who's a great young player, and he showed flashes of being great. So, great trade for both sides. But now the Hornets got no center. Musa Diabate and Taj Gibson. And then also another great trade. This is a weird trade, though. Brandon Ingram to the Raptors for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and first-round pick, second-round pick. I feel like the Pelicans did solid. They got a first-round pick at least from the Pelicans. And, from the Raptors. This is a pretty solid trade, considering Ingram was probably going to get traded anyways. They get a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk are solid players who might get bought out, but this gives them flexibility to get more cap space and stuff. And then for the Raptors, I have no idea why they're trading a first-round pick to get Brandon Ingram. Ingram is a great player, but the Raptors are trying to rebuild, I thought. But now they trade for Ingram. It's just a weird situation. They didn't need to give a lot of players, but they still gave a first-round pick. I feel like they didn't really need to do this, and it's not really a good trade. But the Raptors have a really solid core now with Quickly, Barrett, Ingram, Barnes, and Pirtle. So that's a great trade for them. Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk might be buyout options as well. Now we have this next trade, which is kind of perplexing. Bucks getting Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Jericho Sims, second-round draft compensation for Chris Middleton and A.J. Johnson going to the Wizards, and then the Knicks get DeLon Wright. Now, this is not a good trade for the Bucks. I'm just going to say it because I thought they might have done more stuff after, but they did not do anything after. Kuzma is not really an upgrade over Chris Middleton, even though Middleton has been injured. Kuzma is solid, but he's definitely not an upgrade. They got Jericho Sims. He's a solid role player, but they did not really need a center. Maybe they did, but they traded A.J. Johnson, a pick swap, and Chris Middleton just to get Kyle Kuzma. Is not really a good trade. For the Wizards, they definitely won. They got A.J. Johnson, his young player, rookie. And then they also got a swap. Maybe that pick will be valuable in the future. Chris Middleton is expiring soon, so he'll probably be a free agent, so it's not big of a deal. And then Knicks getting DeLon Wright for Jericho Sims is also solid, I guess. Not really much else to say, though. And then, finally, we have a few more trades. The Jimmy Butler trade definitely is crazy. I talked about it in my video, but I didn't have the full details. But Jimmy Butler goes to the Warriors. Heat get Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, who got traded later for Davion Mitchell, Kyle Anderson. Pistons get Lindy Waters the third. Josh Richardson got traded for Dennis Schroeder. And then the Jazz got KJ Martin and Josh Richardson. So this is a great trade for the Pistons. Lindy Waters is a great player. They didn't need to give much. Heat, this is a solid trade. They had to trade Jimmy, and they got Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, first-round pick from the Warriors, which is top 10 protected, but later it will be unprotected if the next few seasons. So that's a pretty solid pick as well. Steph Curry and Jimmy will be really old by then. And then Wiggins is definitely a great player to get for the Heat, who are still trying to contend, and this gives a lot more room for players like Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, Nikola Jovic. Wiggins is on their team now. It's still a solid team. And then they could try to get some players in next season or different years. Then the Warriors getting Jimmy Butler now. I feel like this won't get them to championship contention, but at least they are trying to win with Steph Curry and giving them another option, second option finally, to try to at least contend. Then for the other teams, it's not really much opinion on it. And then after that, there's not many more trades after that. I believe the only trade I haven't touched on is Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes got traded from the Mavericks for Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin is also injured. But this is a good trade for the 76ers. They get a younger player in Quentin Grimes, and then for the Mavericks, I mean, they didn't want to pay Grimes in the offseason. So they got Caleb Martin, who was on a great deal. I feel like it's a good trade for both teams. Solid, at least. Then, finally, Kings getting Jonas Valanciunas for basically two Wizards getting 2 second-round picks because they waived City Sissoko. I mean, it's a little bit perplexing trade. I don't know why the Kings will get Jonas Valanciunas, but I mean, Jonas is a solid player. He could be a backup center to Sabonis, and they're also Lithuanian, so friends. And then Jaden Springer getting traded to the Rockets. Salary dump for the Celtics. And then after that is the Luka and De'Aaron Fox trade, which I already said before. Lakers won, and the Spurs won that trade. Now let's talk about some other news. Kevin Durant was really close to getting traded. Now, we have known suitors for Kevin Durant. There is definitely that the Warriors were about to get him. Like, the trade was about to go through where the Warriors get Kevin Durant and the Suns get Jimmy Butler. And then after that, the Heat get Wiggins. But Kevin Durant vetoed that trade. He did not want to go reunite with players on the Warriors, which is great. Which is crazy, I mean, not great. Crazy. The Warriors could have gotten KD, Steph, and Draymond back together. That's crazy, actually. And then other teams that wanted Kevin Durant included the Grizzlies, but KD did not want to go there. The Timberwolves just reported by people that the Timberwolves almost got Kevin Durant, but the trade fell through. That would have paired KD with Ant Edwards. I feel like that would have been crazy because they're already friends from the offseason, of course, the Olympics. But this is actually crazy that Kevin Durant and Ant Edwards almost got together. I believe probably Rudy Gobert would have gotten traded, all that stuff. And then the Mavericks also had interest. They're trying to get a big three with KD, AD, and Kyrie. But, it's really tough to do it as well. And seems like Kevin Durant might get traded soon from the Suns. He did not really like that the Suns were listening to offers from other teams. So this is crazy. Like, Kevin Durant might get traded, and another player that might get traded is Trae Young soon in the offseason. Some reports said that Trae Young did not really like it that they traded all of their players from the Hawks, and he really wants to win. And right now, the Hawks are not in a good situation. They just traded like DeAndre Hunter, Bogdanovich, all that stuff. And then also, Ben Simmons is going to get bought out. Clippers and Cleveland Cavaliers are interested. I feel like he'll be a great option for the Clippers, who definitely could use Ben as a backup center or a playmaker, considering they traded a lot of guards. But yeah, this is the most eventful, historic, crazy trade deadline ever. And in the offseason, it might even get better. Kevin Durant and Trae Young might get traded. This calendar year has been crazy. Just so many trades. And it might still have more soon with the buyout and all that stuff. But I'm really excited for the playoffs, especially for the West. West look really, really, really good now because Jimmy Butler, all these teams that made trades. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Wow.